And I'm doing this really fast and kind of rough, but just to give you an idea. And I can pinch this out. So if you ever wonder why I teach you how to make pinch pots, this is why. You never really lose it. Like, you always need to do something. It's all part of forming clay. So I've used a couple of different techniques, right? Rolling a coil, pinching slabs, like all these things come into it. Now, there's a little stuff inside here that I can clean that up, smooth it out. Since I'm not really going to use this one, I mean, this would actually work okay on this. You know, it would be kind of like that, right? Which is not bad at all. Actually, I might, let's keep it. Let's just do some different things to it. Normally I make like a longer, and I'll show you how to do it. Before I put this on, I'll make another one in case I change my mind. This is a little too smooth for this pot. So now I'm like trying to leave nice finger marks on here, so it creates a more of a texture, right? Again, you know, if you're trying to clean something up, use a sponge sometimes will work. I try to do most of the work before I put, like, this would be like the last thing I do is try to fix the rim of this one. And some of it I may just have to cut off, right? I could take it, if I turn it upside down and use my knife, I can hold the knife at an angle and rotate this through. It's a little soft. Trying not to cut my table. Take this stuff off. Yeah, this clay is really soft. There we go. Whatever you're doing, whatever choice you're making, I mean, the idea is to make things look intentional, right? So you're trying to do this, you know, whatever you do it has a purpose, right? It doesn't just randomly happen, right? It's all planned. And still being, you know, a good craftsperson. Even though this is a very loose and organic bottle type, it's still going to be well crafted. Like, things are put together. There's not going to be any edges that are rough. You know, it's the aesthetics of it, how it looks. You know, that's the way I want it to look. It's not just sloppy. Because if you don't make it look intentional, then it looks sloppy. Especially things like rims. Like, I want, if this thing is going to be the bottleneck that I'm going to put on there, I want it to look finished and even, right? This top part is really important, right? If that's not done, no matter what I do to it, it's all going to look kind of contrived, bad. All right, so that's okay for this. I mean, this could be this tall, right? It could be shorter, it could be skinnier, wider. This is a pretty good size for the bottle. So if I wanted to use this, I certainly could, and I still might. I'm just gonna set it aside and show you another way I do longer handles, not handles, but spouts for these kind of bottles, which is usually what I do, and this is what I like. So for a bottle like what I'm making, this is the spout that I would put on, right? You can see how it's nice and twisted, and it looks like it grew there. You know, that's kind of what I'm looking for. So that bottleneck isn't exactly the same as this body, right? So let's try it. So I mean, really, you don't have to use this kind of thing, but I mean, if you have something like this, you certainly could. You could use a pencil or anything, but you could use your finger if you wanted to. Plastic's not a good idea because it'll stick. All right, so I'm gonna put the stick through. Just gonna get it a little straighter. I don't want it to be too loose on there because I'm gonna end up taking this out. Hold this up here, so it's just like making a handle, like pulling a handle, but I have this rod in there, so it's going to be pulling the spout. So I'm just working all the way around, stretching the clay out. I'm not worried about what's happening here, because that's going to be cut anyway. So I'm also leaving some ridges here, like I'm pulling down with my thumb and leaving some ridges because I want to twist it. So if I have ridges, it's going to look more twisted than it actually is. All right. I'm going to prop this up a little bit. My hands off. All right, so now I want to cut this top part. So I can use, because I have this stick in there, I can use the stick and just push the knife in and rotate it around. All right, so now I'm going to take this base part and rotate that. You can see how that's really twisting. I want to do it so it doesn't break, but I want to twist it enough so that looks good. Alright, I kind of like that. So now I'm going to take this and cut the base. So basically the same way. Except just trying to untwist. Alright, so now to get it off of here, I'm gonna have to mess up some of the lines to pull it through, but good stretch. Now it's starting to split. Now I'm working on just the top part of the spout. Just stretch it out a little bit. Smooth it out. A lot of times you get one side that's going to be thinner. That's okay, because I mean, as far as the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? It works for me, but it's probably not going to work for. But again, I'm just going for a little more finished look at the top. Now the bottom part, I'm gonna go ahead, you can see it's thicker right there at the bottom. I'm gonna stretch that out a little bit with my finger. So I already have kind of a nice curve going with the spout, like it would want to pour out that way. So you never want to put spouts like this, right? That doesn't, like, that looks weird, right? If you're putting it on the side. If you're putting it straight, then I'm going to move it straight. But, you know, if you're putting it on the side of a pot, which I've done before, you know, you want that curve going more like that, right? You want the liquid to come up and out. But for a top spout, I mean, it can be crooked too if I'm going to put a handle on it, which might work out all right too. Just cut a little more. I think that's gonna work. Actually, maybe a little big for this bottle. I mean, it fits the kind of bottles that I make, and I really like the twist on this one, so I hate to not use it, but that actually looks kind of cool too. So, Let's go with this one. Maybe I'll save that for another one. All right, so to attach this, let me move the camera a little more. It's like anything else, so I want to draw where it's going to go. Make sure it's where you want it to be. Kind of walk around the pot. Make sure it's all lined up where it needs to go. Because if you miss things like that, the pot looks strange. But if it's in the center, it kind of brings everything together. All right, so I have a pretty good idea where this is going to go. So I can cut. A lot of times when I make these, I will attach without cutting a hole out and then poke a hole in it later, just because I want the air to still be in here. So I'm gonna flatten this out a little. Yeah, and make sure it's not super crooked. I mean, if it's a tree, it can grow crooked anyway, but it's not really a tree, it's a bottle. Score. So that's ready to go. So when I cut out the hole, I'm gonna cut holding my knife at an angle so that the plug doesn't fall down in there. So I want that. Right, you can see the angle that I cut it. Clean up your mess. Now slip, bottleneck, slip that. Get some pressure on there. So now I'm still kind of refining that bottleneck shape as I put it on. But I kind of want to leave the sort of place here that's attached just for how I want it to look. You can make that disappear also, but I like having like a little ledge there. So I've got plenty of clay there that I can pull down. Kind of pay attention to how it's looking all the way around. Let's make some lines. All right, so I'm just gonna use this corner. Define that space a little more. Just that extra shadow line kind of helps. Now I'm just flattening that part out a little more. sponge, smooth that out a little bit. Look around, see what needs to be done. There we go. Yeah, I think that does it. All right, so that is the slab bottle. Oh yeah, one more thing. Sorry. Need to get rid of some of the bottom. So right now it's like, looks like it's stuck onto the table, but board. Take my knife, hold it at an angle. I can rotate this board around. This is what's going to just separate it from the table. Another shadow line, right? That just dresses it up a little more. Up. All right, so now I have the shadow line on the bottom. And it just gives it a little lift. Now you can smooth it out. You can see it's cleaner. Sign it, be done with it. All right, so that's it.